Welcome to the show, everyone. This week in flag football is back. We were on hiatus for a week due to weather conditions around the Capital District, but we got lucky and had some great weather yesterday. It was perfect out. We had some tremendous games. There will be upsets to report on. However, it's my pleasure and honor. Oh, it's almost like you're leaving.
Wow, it sounds like it. Am I getting fired and I don't know about it?
Oh, no, not at all, Colin. We would never do that. My co-host and good friend, of course, Colin Martin.
Well, thank you, Frank, for that rousing and spirited introduction. I was a little nervous at first, but now I feel a lot more calm and just happy to know that I'll be around for year number 16 next April. Wow. Ooh, we're getting old.
35 is tough, boo.
Amen to that. The same.
Right.
Inside joke, folks. We're already starting off. Well, like you mentioned, we had a great weekend of weather, co-ed and men's league. Had some upsets that we were getting into and some surprise scores and surprise standings. We'll know more when we get to the standings and the scoreboard. But before we go any further, I'll give it back to Frank for a couple of league announcements.
Okay, folks, we are getting into the fall season, as you know, and things are getting a little closer to the winter indoor program. So don't forget, we will be having the Winter Indoor Men's League on Saturday evenings beginning in January, as well as the NFL Youth Flag Football Program, same evening beginning in January. So if you are at least 5 and even up to 55 or more, you have a spot in one of these indoor programs. In addition, don't forget, you're not a flag football player, but you want to play basketball. We have that program. And we are also starting a floorball league at the Washington Avenue Armory. Floorball is a little faster-paced game than floor hockey that you might have played in gym class. So those are the things coming up in the winter indoor season. Of course, everything will be played at AFRMS except floorball. So we hope that you will come up and sign up when we announce those registrations. But now, with those announcements out of the way, let me turn it back over to Colin Martin with your A-Division scoreboard.
Well, let's go right at the top, and we'll start with the Blaze 21-7 over the Sampsons 49ers. Laney's 30-20 over the Sampsons Fighting Irish in a game that many saw as being one-sided. Actually, Laney's was up 20-6 early, and for whatever reason, they seem to have fallen apart. From what I've been told, there was a little bit of a meltdown and an implosion, and there is now turmoil within that team. Laney's comes back with 24 unanswered to win that game 30-20. Valenti's Panthers 12-6 over GotBeer.com. Palmerautos.com 29-13 over Jiffy Chips. And the Renegades 24-3 over the NEKF Tigers. Frank, before we get into the standings, sure. Can you shed any more insight on what happened with that Laney's game? I'm surprised to see that the Sampsons Fighting Irish were up by 14 points, 20-6, and then Laney's, did they just turn it on, or was there more to the story?
All right, well, our insider is not here right now, but I do have inside information from him. So what happened was they dominated the game, according to the insider, for even when they were losing, which I'm not sure how that works. But
I don't get that either.
That was kind of odd, but when you're up 20-6, I'm sure you can be dominating at that point. I don't know if it was just a few big scores or maybe a few mistakes. But the real story here is that David Wagner, the longtime head coach of both the Sampsons teams in the AA, Single A, and the NWO team in the C, has decided to step down as coach because there was so much turmoil in that particular game. I don't know if it's going to hold, and he's definitely not going to come back or not, but there was a Facebook announcement from him that was a couple paragraph longs, apparently, telling people that if they want him back, they're going to have to ask him and practically beg him. So I'm not sure what's going on, but he does, sometimes cause turmoil because he yells at guys, and we are in a different generation, as you know now, where the yelling doesn't work like it used to, Colin.
Yeah, in this day and age, you can't yell and scream at people, especially when you got too many people who are too sensitive. They're not thick-skinned, so they didn't grow up with it. Coaches yelled at you when we played, when we were younger. Right. It was no big deal. Now, when they start off where nobody loses, everybody gets a trophy, win or lose, you can't do that. And a lot of these guys are young guys. Maybe they grew up with that, and they didn't appreciate being yelled at. Now, I'll also go on to say, Wags is pretty loose with the tongue sometimes,
Right.
pause. But he could have said something that may have gone across the boundary as opposed to just yelling at him. He may have said something that they didn't appreciate, and that could have just only added fuel to the fire. So not knowing the full story, those are my two scenarios that either they didn't appreciate being yelled at because that's not how they came up like we did, or maybe he said something that he shouldn't have and they took offense to it, and now we're at this point where we're at now. But if it was that severe that he put a book up there saying why he's resigning, and if they want him back, they have to make it, maybe it's better that it just ends now. They've had quite a bit of success together coming up through the league. They're in the A division, doing pretty successfully. Right. And I don't think anyone would say he didn't have anything to do with it, but I don't think anyone would also say he had everything to do with it. So it may be yet another scenario that it could have come down to maybe I'm doing more for the team, I'm putting all of this stuff together, and the other players, they didn't appreciate that. And that's pure speculation on my point.
Yeah, I mean, a couple other things here, two things that I wanted to point out. One is that, you know, our insider did say that the fact that Laney's went on a 24-0 run was a reflection of all the infighting. So that was a major part of it. So it wasn't just that Laney's got their act together and then came storming back. The infighting was a major part of that. Number two, I want to give a shout out to a coming out party for these A division players.
Pause.
Dave Austin, okay, the quarterback for Sampson's, had 3 long 60-yard touchdown bombs, I'm told, to Derek Bryden, a receiver. So those two players look like they really stepped up. And according to my inside information, Derek Bryden was uncoverable. So there you have it, folks, on that game.
That's saying a mouthful right there. Going against Laney's, you have someone uncoverable against that team.
Correct.
So, like you said, they may be the team to keep an eye on going forward. Who knows? Maybe they'll get this issue resolved and they'll move on happily ever after, one big happy family.
Possibly.
Doubtful, but we'll see. Let's go to our A division standings, where we've got the Blaze 5-0, Laney's 3-1, Valenti's Panthers 3-2. GotBeer.com now finds themselves 2-3 and tied with PalmerAutos.com, rounding out the A division. In the double A division, that was the double A division. In the A division, we've got the Renegades and Sampson's 49ers, both 3-2, followed by Sampson's Fighting Irish at 2-3. NEKF Tigers at 1-4, and Jiffy Chips at 0-4 round out the A division. Frank, take us into the B division.
All right, B division action. There was an upset. I'm going to report on it shortly. 41 Sports Bar Titans, 21 Vikings 6, Bootlegger Bulldogs 13, Philly Bar and Grill 12, the Rugged Rams 37, On the Circle 13. There is your major upset. On the Circle is the Justin Terry teams. Now, I know there was a situation where guys were coming late because apparently in Schenectady there was a major road race as far as runners.
Yeah.
So things were getting shut down on Union Street. But they did get there on time to start the game, apparently, and then maybe a few guys straggled in. But I don't know how that would cause a 37-13 beatdown.
Big win by Rugged Rams.
Yeah, that was huge, and we'll see in the standings why. The Aztecs 24-13 over Giuseppe Warriors. That's a game that I don't know if you want to call it an upset or not, but it's a little surprising.
It's a little bit surprising, but we've said it all season long. Those are some veteran teams. And if you don't come to play, and Peyton Manning, perfect example with the Broncos, everybody was saying how they were going to what's that word? Stomp?
Stomp?
Yeah, they were going to stomp a mud hole in the Jaguars. And he kept saying, whoa, they're a professional team as well. We have to bring our A game. Not to compare them to a professional team, but the scenario, they were looking as though they were going to come through and just dump truck the Aztecs. But they had a surprise for them. You get that veteran team. They know a little bit of the tricks of the trade. Shocker.
Yeah, and then this one's a little surprising to me. Kaiser Body Shop 7-zip over the Rampage, a team that I thought was going to make a move.
That's a critical loss for the Rampage, though, because they were pretty much, they had a playoff seed locked if they were able to control their own and win these last few games. Now they're in a dogfight for those remaining spots.
No, there's no question about it. Right now, if the playoffs ended, however, the top 8 teams, I believe, are making it. They would be in there with their 2-3 record, possibly. But the Bootlegger Predators are 9-2-3. There'd be some tiebreaker.
Yeah, a bunch
scenarios.
of tiebreakers coming.
But look, 4 games remaining. We don't need to get into that right now. And then Forever Bandana, they win 13-3 over the Bootlegger Predators. So there are your B Division scores. I'd like to give you the standings, folks. As always, we have 12 teams to report on. Forever Bandana gets that 10-point victory and remains the only unbeaten at 5-0. Then you have 41 Sports Bar and then the On the Circle team that just recently lost, both at 4-1. And then, of course, Vikings, Warriors, and Rugged Rams all at 3-2. And that's where you see the Rugged Rams with that huge victory over On the Circle, a team they're not expected to beat, places them at 3-2 and over the 500 mark, Colin.
That's we just talked about it. As we get down to this final stretch, you can't afford to have these slip-ups because they're going to come back. It's going to come down to a tiebreaker. And you don't want something I don't want to say as meaningful to be relied upon as the playoff position, to be relied upon a game that you let slip away. So handle the business at hand when you can. You don't want to overlook anybody and give anybody a chance to pull off the upset, because more often than not, what happens is it comes down to tiebreakers, and most of the times it'll bite you in the tuchus.
Nice. Okay.
I didn't want to curse.
No, he used the T word. All right. Anyway, folks, we've got the Rampage, Aztecs, and Bootlegger Predators all 2-3, as we mentioned. And then, Kaiser and the Bootlegger Bulldogs, they're 1-4, but they're not out of the picture right now, unlike the Giants in the NFL.
Absolutely, and that's a beautiful thing, because right now they're only 2 games behind the final playoff spot. Actually, they're only 1, depending on how the tiebreakers shake out. So if they play the teams that are 2-3, they could find themselves stealing that last playoff spot or even moving up to the 7th.
Correct. All right, so there you have the standings with Philly Bar and Grill at 0-5, the only team that has not won a game. However, if they can get their act together, they could make a slight run. So the whole thing here is just to keep your team motivated, folks, and giving yourself a chance to make the playoffs. But really what happens is I believe that you should take the next game and go from there, one game at a time. I kind of like that theory or method of coaching and motivation, and we'll see what happens with those teams near the bottom of the B. Colin, C Division action.
C Division action. We will start right at the top with Murphy's Mama's Boys, 26-13 over the Bootleggers Hurricanes. NWO 40-7 over Team Gold. Side Door Grill Bombers 13-6 over Jay's Painting Service. Elbow Room Hawks 38-19 over the Armadillos. That's Decky Lawson's team now, right? Formerly Scott Madden, the Hawks.
Absolutely.
Decky took that over.
Yes, big victory.
Got him right in the middle of the playoff picture again. The Avengers 35-0 over Mario's Restaurant. Fuller's Tavern 26-6 over Swag Champs. Fullers, you may be making the liar out of me. I didn't think you guys had it in you, but when we get to the standings, we'll see. You may still have something in you. Good job. Doublers Bootleggers 45, Bloodline 20. Dirty Birds 33, Kryptonites 26 in a shootout. KDO Burns SOS 42, Ravens 8. Not so much a shootout.
No.
Bronx Street Thrashers 26-17 over CM Fox Realty Falcons. And the franchise 20-0 over the Dream Team. This is the first time in a long time, quite a while. I don't even remember the last time we've gone through the entire C scoreboard without getting a chance to say that we had a game that was a barn burner.
No, we definitely didn't. But I do have something to report on, though. Okay. The Ravens lose 42-8 to SOS. No big surprise. The Ravens, I don't believe, had a victory at that point. We'll be able to tell you. But the bottom line is this. They have a receiver that was coming up with catches in double and triple coverage against great SOS athletes. I wish the insider was here right now because I'd love to give a shout out to this kid and give him the props that he deserves. But he was phenomenal. Number 2, I will say the Ravens, I don't know if you want to call it bad luck or bad hands with the receivers, but in the first half, their quarterback, who is not bad whatsoever, had 4 picks. 3 of them bounced off the receivers into the hands of SOS players, and I think 1 or maybe 2 of those were returned for pick 6s. So those were critical killers. And, you know, prior to the game, Doug McBride, the quarterback of SOS, told me that don't sleep on the Ravens because even though they are winless, they have a good team. And they actually do. It was just a matter of just some unbelievably bad breaks. Now, when you're 0-4 going into the game, you know, you can't have those bad breaks against an undefeated team.
Right.
So there you have it. But let's give a shout out. I will get his name at some point. The kid is phenomenal. Great, great hands. He beat them to the punch every time by just his elevation.
You don't want
and
to
his
say
hands.
punch with SOS.
Oh, I'm sorry. So that pause on the punch from SOS.
We need a better choice of words.
Right. Try to find one in the dictionary. Anyway, there you have it, Colin, on a little inside scoop.
But your point is well taken. So shout out to those guys for not quitting and showing up when people didn't give them a chance.
Right.
Let's start with the C Division standings over in Albany. We've got Dublin's Bootleggers at 5-0, followed by Fuller's Tavern, Jay's Painting Service, and NWO at 4-1. Again, Fuller's, you're making me out to be a liar. And like I said before, I have no problem admitting to the world. We're worldwide, baby. I have no problem admitting to the world if we make a mistake. If you guys go through and run the table and prove me wrong, I will say it and give you guys credit. Swag Champs, 3-2, followed by Side Door Grill Bombers and Elbow Room Hawks. The Avengers at 2-3 with Bootlegger Hurricanes and Armadillos, followed by Bloodline Murphy's Mama's Boys and Team Gold all 1-4, and Mario's Restaurant at 0-5. In Schenectady, we've got Katie O'Burns, SOS 4-1 with the Bronx Street Thrashers, CM Fox Realty Falcons, Dream Team both 3-2, Dirty Birds and the Franchise both 2-3, the Kryptonites at 1-4, and the Ravens, as we mentioned earlier, 0-5. But they're a game group of guys. Too many G's in that phrase right there. They're showing up. They're still playing 0-5, 73-point differential. They're not getting blown out in too many games. That's what, 73-5, quick math, 15 points.
Right. And
so they're playing some close.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. The last one was 42-8, so that kind of widened the margin.
Yeah, you take that 32 points in the previous game, it was like 11 a game. So they're in it. They just need a brick, kind of like my fantasy football team. I've got the third most scored points in the league, and I'm 0-6. Yeah, I'm that guy this year. And then, you know, it's awkward. I just don't, on a side note here.
Right.
In our league, if you come in last place, which I'm 0-6, so I'm in last place, we change your team name next year. So me being a commissioner, it's just going to be brutal.
Yeah.
I got somebody who sent me a text last night, because my team name is the Bandits, Brick City Bandits.
Right.
Brick City Giants. That's your new name for next year. That's brutal. That is absolutely brutal. So I got to beat someone, and I'm the commissioner, so I could adjust scores. So if I go 0-13, I'm adjusting a score somewhere, and I'm not being in last place.
There you go. There you have it.
I shouldn't have just admitted to the world that I'm going to cheat the scoring, but that's what's going to happen. I'm not changing
to win the money,
name.
though. It's just not to change.
Yeah, just not to change my name. I'd rather not have to change my name because those dudes are brutal. Yeah,
there you have it.
It's not fun.
Fantasy football is alive and well in the Capital District, and apparently the St. Louis Cardinals are all over the press boards. They're playing in the playoffs in baseball, and they love fantasy football.
Yeah, they have their
according
own
to the
league, too.
stories. Yeah. So anyway, that's a big thing, as we all know. But we do have some co-ed games to report on. As always, folks, I'll give you the scores, and Colin will give you the MVP. Week 5, Sampson's Misfits, 35-28, AGL Renegades. It was a big-time barn burner.
Just don't line up 6 yards off the line. Katie Ogilvy, the MVP of that game.
There you have it. Good game, Katie. Del Lane staying on top with an undefeated record with the 41-20 victory over Walrath Recruiting Bunnies.
MVP of that game, Teresa DeGeppe. I hope I pronounced that right. We had a little bit of a problem interpreting your handwriting, so hopefully it's Teresa Giuseppe.
Okay, and then we...
Di Giuseppe, I'm sorry.
The insider is here giving us handwritten notes that look like a doctor wrote it.
Speaking of chicken scratch.
Green Machine 54-34 over Brad Lewis Lawn Care.
MVP, brand new mama. Welcome back to the field, Nicole Kissinger.
She was given MVP, I was told, because she was out of shape, but she's a real gamer. I think she had to play offense and defense because they only had the minimum amount of girls, and she hung in there and did a really good job.
Well, good for her.
Yep, everything stayed intact. Nothing fell out. Okay, Riff Raff 34-19 over Kohlers.
MVP of that game, Amanda Brundage, had a nice interception in the end zone. Tried to do her best Deion Sanders imitation and take it coast to coast. Only got to about the 30, but what the hell? Give it a shot, Amanda. Not too many girls would have taken it. Not too many girls would have caught it, first of all.
Right.
Let alone try to take it the length of the field. So good job. It was halftime anyway. She didn't have anything to lose. Maybe you get a couple of blocks, you go for the touchdown.
There you have it. And Amanda was playing defense, surprisingly. What happened there? Any scoop?
Heard she was beasting pretty well on defense as well. But I didn't stay for the whole game because, as you know, I'm fighting the flu. But while I was there, I saw her make a couple of great plays and make some key blocks on the offensive line. So she's doing it. She may be MVP, not MVP. She may be an all-star this season.
Oh, yeah. She was previously as well. So she's capable of becoming a first-team all-female all-star. And we hope that you recover from your malaria very soon.
Thank you.
McGeary's Honey Badgers, 26-19 over Andy's Maniacs.
These guys, I am so proud of them. I mean, they still come to the field with a case and a half of stuff, and their coach is always tanked, but he has a great time, even though he's drinking that rat gut Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. But the MVP of that game, Allie Jenkins.
All right. And then Dirty Birds, they get angry after a couple losses and win 54-7 over Good Touch, Bad Touch. Apparently it was bad for the touch team.
Yeah, it went from bad to worse, 54-7.
Yeah.
MVP, I'm going to go out on a limb and give her a new nickname. Elena, future Hall of Famer.
Ooh.
Lang.
Nice, okay. And also I want to give a correction. Although the spelling is incorrect, it's pronounced Teresa Giuseppe. Giuseppe.
Di Giuseppe?
Di Giuseppe.
Okay.
I think she's Italian.
I'm going to guess so.
Yeah.
I'm going to
so
think
listen,
so.
I'm sorry. we had week 4. We did play in the co-ed, so at least let's give them a shout out before we go to the standings. So we'll do week 4 scores because although the men's were canceled, we got to give them their due respect. Riff Raff beats Walrath Recruiting Bunnies 2013.
MVP of that game, Doug Jensen.
All right, and then the Misfits of Sampson's 47-0 over Good Touch, Bad Touch. Way to run it up.
Yeah, MVP of that game, Ashley Horwadell. I would change my name if it started with whore and I was a girl. Just throwing it out there.
So it looks like with my quick math, they've been outscored 101-7 in 2 weeks. That's not good.
That's pretty bad touch.
It's
that
bad
should
touch.
Change the name to bad touch and worse touch.
And we really shouldn't give props to the teams that beat them like that, though. It's not necessary to do that.
Yeah.
They're going to say point differential, but, give them the old
wow.
Well,
wins like
I
that.
don't like it.
I don't blame you. But wins like that does explain why Sampson's Misfits are 5-0.
That's true, yeah, but they have that big differential too. But as we will tell everybody in the audience, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, this team, they're going to have a good record, no question, but they're going to have at least 2 losses, and they're not going to make the semifinals. How's that?
I was about to say one and done.
Wow.
Yeah, one and done in the playoffs. I said it, Rocco. What you want to do?
How about
the open challenge? Prove me wrong.
How about this? They get a high seed, but Bullets get a low seed, and they match up against them. It's possible.
That's why I'm saying one and done.
Yeah, it's not a definite, but it is possible. But
can you imagine if the Bullets sneak in and get the 8th and Riff Raff's the 1? That's your opening round playoff?
Unbelievable. That game will be, call the cops, folks. Holy cow. All right, let's continue on. Kohlers 41-40 over the Dirty Birds. That game was a big-time, giant, big barn burner of a game.
MVP of that game, Lindsay Brute.
Lindsay,
it smells
good
like
game.
a man.
I know. Oh, she does.
That was that old commercial.
Yeah, no, I know. Brad Lewis Lawn Care 32-13 over Andy's.
MVP, Matt Fahrenkopf.
He's German?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, he probably hangs out with Jimmy Sitz. Lark Tavern Renegades 34-20 over, again, Good Touch, Bad Touch. They had a doubleheader that day.
Yeah, I actually did that game. I mean, no, I didn't do that game. I did their other game. But MVP of that game, Greg Dietrich.
Gregory having a good game. All right, this week.
Should not have been allowed. He's in the A division.
Last week he was a MVP. This week he was the MVP of crying to the officials.
Oh,
So
boy.
so he's got 2 in a row.
2 in a row, back to back.
That's not bad.
You don't want to be on that side of the fence, though.
No,
right?
no, not at all.
No, it's co-ed. Go back to how you thought it was initially. Relaxed, having fun, laughing, joking. Don't turn into one of these guys like Rocco who takes it way too serious and yelling at the refs, screaming, acting a fool. It's not that serious. Enjoy it for what it is. Come out, have fun, have a beer or two.
That's all. That's all it is in this. You can get serious in the A's on Sundays.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's no question about it. Okay, so we'll off our soapbox here. Lark Tavern came back. What a day for Lark Tavern and Greg's team. They win 19-12 over McGeary's Honey Badgers.
MVP of that game, Laura Bogardus. She was Bogarting, that's for sure.
Oh, boy, I know about that. this girl I'm hanging out with, man, she smokes all the weed. You get maybe 1 or 2 hits.
Wow, leave Boo alone. Don't name drop.
Hi. Oh, that's the 5-minute mark.
Yeah, that's the 5-minute mark.
Right.
But you don't want to say, listen, people are watching, family show. You can't say somebody's smoking all the wacky.
No. Listen,
I don't smoke. I'm allergic to that stuff anyhow.
I don't know if that's true or not.
that's
I know
very
you
true.
don't smoke, but I don't know if you're allergies.
Very
because
true.
Of that. I don't know if that gave you the malaria or what. But
No, I am allergic to smoke.
And
Cigarettes
then
and others.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, last game of that day was just huge, man. Another big-time barn burner and another hard luck loss for the Silver Bullets as they lost 28-27 to Del Lanes.
MVP of that game, current Hall of Famer, Heather Fiore.
Yes, Heather is a Hall of Famer in and outside of the bar.
She may also be Coach of the Year at this point.
Really?
Because you figure they lost Rob.
Yeah.
They lost PJ last season.
Yes.
And they're still able to maintain and recruit and get a good base. They brought back some people who played with them a couple of years ago. They put them in positions where they know the defense, they know the offense, they know their entire scheme of things.
Yes.
And they're 5-0. So she may be right now, quiet as kept, the Coach of the Year in the co-ed division.
Well, Jackie Sanchez is back.
Yep.
Okay. They moved Jeff Rowe to quarterback. So if she gets Coach of the Year this year and they win the championship, there's no question in my mind that Jeff Smith will probably end up being MVP.
I concur.
For the male side.
I concur.
And there is no height restriction or requirement.
No, it's not like you're getting on rides at Disneyland or Great Escape.
No, so he can become MVP. Yeah.
And he's so short, it's hard for people to see him. And then when he starts running around, he's low to the ground.
Right.
They can't get his flag because he's almost on the ground. Rocco was going to try and trip him, but,
Wow.
that's not going to happen.
No.
You got to lift your leg up in order for that to happen.
He also... He also has the ability, as low as he is, to make these turns where he has his body kind of contort, and people are asking for the flag shielding, but, sometimes it is flag shielding, sometimes it's not, but it's a difficult call.
Yeah, and the way I refereed him is if he took the ball and he tucked it and covered his flag with his arm,
right,
I would do that.
Sure.
I'd throw the flag on that. But if he's just running and as he's, like you said, when he's contorted, he's trying to avoid someone, there's no flag coverage, there's no penalty flag to throw. So, like you said, it's really tight, so you want to make sure that, A, he's doing it and it's preventing someone from getting the flag, because that could be a game changer because it's a loss of down penalty.
And B, there must be contact, as you put in there.
Yeah, I hate that.
You love that rule. All right, hey, standings now, and then we're going to get into our next segment where we bring the insider in and we'll tell you everything that's going on in the league and give you our predictions for the upcoming week. Top half of the standings here. The top 7, Samson's Misfits, Riff Raff, and Del Lanes, all 5-0. I don't remember another season where we've had 3 teams that are undefeated with only 3 games to go. So I do know that some of these teams will be matching up against each other and that somebody will go down eventually, most likely Samson's.
Great.
Green Machine 4-1 all by themselves in 4th place. The Bunnies, Renegades, and Badgers all 3-2, and all of them looking in good shape for the playoffs with 3 games to go. But Colin's going to give you the bottom 7 pause and tell you that some of these teams are capable of sliding in. Pause.
Absolutely. Well played.
Oh.
The number 1 and 2 seeds are actually the number